Now, today we have to get into concept called analytical privileges. This is relevant to your authorizations, security. So when you want to provide row level security or data level security we use analytical privileges. When you want to use row level or data level security, we use one second. So when you want to go with the data level security or row level security, we go with analytical privileges. Okay. Now I have this view. Mm, Now I have this view. Why sales overview address? Let me open this view. Okay. Let me say show content. And remove privileges. Okay, let me just copy this. Okay. I have this view. Which is giving me data for all the regions. Why insufficient privileges? Insufficient privileges. Now let me create a calculation view. I'm going with the dimension. HANA demo tables. I'm choosing this address table, address ID, country, region, and city. That's enough. So I get to see data for all the regions here. I get to see data for all the regions, but I have a requirement. I would like to have an user in HANA. When he gets to this view, he should have access only to, let's say, Asia Pacific only, not all the regions. Okay. So within this view, you should have authorizations only for one particular region. So data level security. Now, how do I do this? Is I create a privilege. Now new, instead of creating calculation, I create analytical privilege. First, make sure in the view properties there are two options here. The view properties, there is something called apply privileges. There are two things. What is this enabled as classic or a SQL privilege? We are focusing on classic privileges. Okay. Now let me create a privilege. Right click, new analytical privilege. V005. That's my privilege name. It will ask you what type of privilege do you want to create. Since my view is enabled for classic privilege, I'll create a classic analytical privilege. So create new. I want this privilege to restrict data on which view? YCV test data security. This is my view. So this is my privilege. It is going to control the security on this view. And my authorizations, my security is valid from which date? I am saying greater than or equal to yesterday's date. So it is valid from there. On which field you would like to provide authorizations on the region. Then I would like to say specify the condition add fixed value equal to Asia Pacific and then activate. I created a privilege now. Now I need to create a user who will have access only to this. Okay. Let me create a user who will have a new user. I'll call this as Cubex user 03. Some password. Okay. First thing, I specify object privileges. In the object privileges, you specify all the schema objects to which you will have access to. I must grant him access to sysbi, sysbic, and HANA demo also. First, let me give access to this. On this schema, you should have access to select. Okay. Then let me then we have to specify even a schema for SAP underscore HANA underscore demo because the tables are right from that schema. Select, and also I'm giving access to Cubex schema. Now, when you want to have access to the repository packages, the views, we have to give a role called repository rest. Okay. Good. You should be able to execute this. Now, drop, debug, alert, anything. Okay. Then I specify the package privileges for which package you will have access to. Only Cubex Joule. I'm making him have access to Cubex Joule so that Cubex Joule will have only for this package. Just enable all these checkboxes. Okay, then they will allow to restrict him even for the analytical privilege now. Here it specify the analytical privilege, what we just created, YAP005. Activate. Now my user is ready. Could not grant drop. Okay. Debug also not. Only execute. So 003. My user is ready. Let me log in with this user. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to say connect the same system, add the same system with different user. This time my user is Cubex user 03. First time login, it asks me for the change of the password. Now this user is connected. Now when I go to this user in the content, why is able to see only one package? Because I gave him access only to this package. Models. Let him see this data. Why CV data security? Now when I try to see the data content of this view, he is seeing which region was. He is getting allowed to see only for Asia Pacific only. Why? Because who's control? It's not about input parameter. Because of the data security or analytical privilege, what we created, we are restricting the user to have access only to Asia Pacific only. Got this? Okay. But say if my requirement is, say I have got 100 regions, I've got 100 users. If I create my analytical privilege statically like this, if I create my analytical privilege with the static value, will I end up creating 100 privileges like this? One for Asia Pacific, one for Europe, one for AMER. Like say if I got 100 values, I go out creating 100 analytical privileges like this, right? Yes or no? Boss? I don't want that to happen. We can also create dynamic privileges by reading data from the user. Based on the login user, I can control the values. So with one privilege, I can control it for multiple users. In that case, instead of going fixed value, I'll be going with something called procedure. Let me just create a procedure. So how do I basically go with this? So I'm just creating a simple table called authorizations table. If there's already this table is available, I'm just dropping it, drop table. Okay. Next, I'm just creating a table called authorization table with two columns. One is user and one is country. Let me just enhance this with say. mm, Let me just put in at 500 because I can use for something else also. User and country. Just say okay. Then I'm inserting. This time I'll insert some values. Cubics user 03. Cubics user 03. For cubics user 03, I'm giving it as AM year. For different user, it's like different thing. But I'm only focused on for cubics user. I'm giving it as AM year. Okay, just forget about others. Then if I look at this table, I'll have three records. For cubics user, I maintain it as AM year here. Okay, good. Now I'm going to create a procedure which will basically return it out based on this. See, my procedure is written such a way that it basically takes the session user who is logged in and reads the country column from there and then associates this tab value returns and which is being returned out as a country column. Okay, boss. Let's see this procedure. Different attribute cannot duplicate. Sorry. So this is already there. So this I'm saying 55 is my procedure. Cannot duplicate name of procedure. 55 is also there. Just say 5. Return type mismatch, procedure attribute name region. Okay, I think this country column should be here as 500. TT country 1. Okay, I'll say TT country 4. Now data match. Data will match now. Now procedure is created. See, procedure will just take the session user who's logged in and then returns out the respective country, respective region. And we need to grant access of this procedure to sysrepo bus. Because sysrepo is the owner of all the objects. I must give grant options to execute options on this. Now I'll just go to my analytical privilege. Instead of fixing the value as APJ, I'll just say catalog procedure. This is procedure name. I'll say in if there are multiple, I'll say in. Okay, activate. Now, now based on the login user, let's refresh this same privilege. I've modified it. If he is trying to see the data for this, session user will be cubex user 3, so it gets into the table. Procedure will read data from the table and say it has to give it as AMER. See now what region I'm seeing? I'm seeing data only for what? AMER. So if there's a different user, I just maintain an entry into this table. That should be enough. So with single analytical privilege, I can create a dynamic privileges like this by using a procedure in my privileges. So I can create a dynamic analytical privileges like this. Okay. Okay. Fine.